Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special show today of Relentless Reviews. I am your host, Joshua Englander, and you might have noticed I have a very, very special guest to interview for the first time on my show, and he is an awesome guy, Jason Hooft from 3 Kilobytes. How are you doing today, Jason?
Good. How you doing, man?
Oh, this is awesome. I've been thinking about this interview all day long. It's kind of amazing. I remember, when I originally sent the email to you for this interview back in October, and then all the snow came in and we lost power, and since then we've had all these scheduling issues, so I'm thinking, like, finally I'm so excited for this. I guess let's start off. I might as well. I want to ask you several questions that I thought were pretty interesting. Number one, what do you prefer when it comes to a video game? A video game with a great story, but bad controls like Heavy Rain, or a game with a terrible story, but amazing gameplay like Just Cause 2. What game, if you had to choose, which one would you buy and why?
That's a tough one. I think I've always, because I'm a bit older than usual, the usual age that watches my show, I think nowadays a lot of people assume graphics are the most important thing, but to me it's always been about gameplay. Mm-hmm. And when you can mirror the gameplay to match the story, for instance, like Mass Effect 2, I mean, that's unbeatable. So for me, when the story's really good and the gameplay is not as good, I still have a little bit of an issue because sometimes it's just boring. I mean, right. Heavy Rain was boring at times, to be honest. Right. But the story was pretty good. But still, I mean, I need a game that matches both. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I definitely agree. I mean, one of the things is that if you want an amazing story, if that's all you care about, just watch movies. You don't really need gaming, because gaming is still the most important thing is the gameplay. I definitely agree with you, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're playing a video game, and it's called a video game for a reason, not to really watch this interactive movie take place. It's sort of silly that they would do that, but, I mean, it is a new experience. They had to try it out, but it did okay, but I just think video games are meant to be played, not to sit there and watch them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so awesome. Now let's turn over to 3 Kilobytes. I mean, it's been an amazing journey, and I feel like the way you guys started and where you are now, and it must have been such a roller coaster throughout so much of it, probably has felt a lot more like than just 3 years. But so even though I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, when you were on the show and you were filming, do you ever sort of recall a single moment where you're just sitting there like, this is the best thing I could have possibly done with my life? Like, this is the most amazing review, whether it's a review, a joke, any part of your videos. Anything stand out to you, man?
I think, personally for me, I think it was when we started to hit around 3,000 subscribers. I think that's when a lot of people would message me and wanted to add me on Facebook, and I started doing live shows. And then when I was doing the live shows, I think that's when it really hit me like that it's worldwide, because it's really hard to look into the lens and try to imagine thousands of people watching you from around the world. So for me, it was definitely probably around when we hit 3,000 subs when I had that moment of like, this is crazy and I like doing this. Like I think it changed for me because I always wanted it to be a show where it was interactive, but we weren't sure how to do that properly in the beginning. We would spend so much time on one hand commenting, but there was other things we could have done in the beginning that would have helped, but we never got to those. But I think the show has become more interactive as it's gotten older over the years. And for me, my personal goal on the show is to be just me, to be more personal with the audience. Not necessarily all of us on the show, but I guess that would be my goal, and that's what has kept me doing it, really.
Yeah, definitely. And, what's amazing, obviously, is not just the fact that you're interacting with your audience still at such a high rate, but the fact that you do it when you consider all your other options that you could have chose to. For example, obviously, Machinima wanted you guys. They sent you a deal, probably something that was going to be ridiculous. You probably were going to have like a million girlfriends, you know, millions of dollars. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
something like that. And you chose instead to go, I think, a more noble path. And I think that means that it just means that you're one of those people that it feels more satisfying to not take a lazy route. And channels, I think, often on YouTube, especially when they become huge, they feel like, okay, I worked hard enough to get here. I don't need to stop. I don't need to, like, continue to be on such a – I feel like I'm above everyone else. So, you know, I think that's amazing that you guys somehow are still able to – you know, I remember when I sent you the first message from my channel, and you, I was thinking to myself, like, you know, I'm sure he gets like 100 of these things, like, oh, go check out my channel. And when I sent them to both you and Kat, I believe, I actually got Kat to see my favorite movie of all time because I messaged her about it and I recommended it to her, and she actually went off and watched it. And I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know any other famous YouTubers that do that. That's insane, man. So that's definitely something I think is amazing of you guys. So that's awesome. I wanted to, and okay, let's go on here. Sorry.
Well, no, it's okay, man. Just to add on to that, I think I'm going to start branding our channel and say it's the most interactive gaming channel online.
Yeah.
I don't think you could, you know, for instance, I love watching Pete Dorr. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I have heard of him, yes.
Yeah, I love watching him, but I mean, it's kind of different because I have my own show, and I wouldn't say there's like a league of these partners who talk to each other, but there's definitely a group of us that once you hit a certain amount of subscribers, it's kind of easy to get in contact with these other channels. But Pete Dorr has been the one I can't get a hold of, so it's kind of frustrating because I think he could help out big time, but I can't get a hold of him.
Right.
But for instance, you know, like Happy Console Gamer, Review Tech USA, and I mean the list goes on forever. Video Games Awesome. Yeah. Basically, I mean, I could call them on the phone. I have everyone's phone number, and we're like a close sort of community at the top end, and we try to help each other out. But it's kind of sad for me to see some of these channels who could really do more with what they have, but they kind of just they make it sort of about them, which is, you know, sometimes that's important, but sometimes I think YouTube is about the community, because without the community you wouldn't have any views.
Exactly. And you brought up those good points, and I came up with an excellent question right off the bat because I'm just good at that, I guess. But
you're good.
Yeah. You know, YouTube, I'm sure you knew before you even had your channel, and probably even now because I'm sure you still watch plenty of channels. I go on YouTube sometimes and I see these videos that get negative attention for the wrong reasons, and then on the other spectrum, the community can be amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that people just sort of flip-flop, but what I'm saying is that, like, for example, I'm not going to mention any names, of course, for privacy reasons, but there was one video of a young kid. I forget exactly how old it seemed he was, but he was a young kid, and he went on. He blogged, and he had a decent blog. He seemed like a smart kid, and he put out a video saying how he hated the Red Dead Redemption ending. And then you see all these comments like down in his videos, like, "Oh, you're fat. Oh, you're basically all these vulgar terms." And these are the same people that on your channel would probably say, "You're amazing. You're like the best reviewers on YouTube." And again, I'm not saying that they always flip-flop, but what I'm saying is that maybe in a way the community is amazing at some points, but at other points they seriously, like, I watch them and say, "You guys need to grow up, seriously." You know what I'm saying?